Hey guys, this is E with Scrapbooking with Me, and if you notice the title, we have changed it from Tuesday's Tips, Tricks, and Techniques to just today's Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. The reason being, it seems like I can never get it uploaded on Tuesday, regardless of when I film. Something always happens. My internet goes down, YouTube is messed up, something happens, and I can't get it uploaded on a Tuesday. So we're just going to say today's tips, tricks, and techniques, and it will be up on the day of the week when it's up. All right, I promised some people last week when we did our Mother's Day flower pot purse, I promised a lot of people that I would show you how to do your own flowers just out of paper. You don't have to have any special thing. Now, I do use a thin cardstock, a very thin cardstock. As a matter of fact, I used some of that paper that you can buy at Walmart, Office Max, different places, that's almost like a printer paper. It's just a tiny bit thicker than printer paper. That's what I use to make flowers with because it's much easier to manipulate and fold and that kind of thing. So I'm going to show you, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different flowers today. This may be a little bit longer of a tutorial, but I wanted to get the different kinds of flowers in here. I didn't want to do 2 different tutorials on it. So I know a lot of you have already seen some of these in different places, but there was a lot of people who asked me and I promised that I would, so we're going to go ahead and get that done this morning. Now this is just the rose that I know everybody has seen everywhere, but this one is not from a template. It's one that you just cut yourself. This one, I don't know exactly what kind of flower that is called. If anybody knows, leave it in the links below. I've seen them in different places, but I can't remember what they're called. This is just a little rolled rose that you roll yourself. You cut out yourself. You don't have to have any special tools. And this is another little scalloped rolled rose. And I used regular pattern paper to do that one. And then this is just a little flower that I've been making for years. I have no clue again what it's called. I don't have a green thumb. I'm not good with flowers. I love them, but I have no clue what different flowers are called. So if anybody knows the name of this one, leave it in the links below. And then this one is a flower that I've been making for probably 15 years too. And it is just using a regular punch. This punch right here that I've had for oodles and oodles of years, and you use the same size petals. You don't, but it looks like that you've got different size petals on here. So we're going to do these, and let's just get into the first one. I'm just going to leave some of these maybe right here so you can see them just a little bit off screen. There we go. All right, we'll just start with this little guy first. Now, you need 4 punches of this. If you don't have a punch, just fold your paper up and draw your little petals out. You can do that. They don't have to be perfect. They don't even have to be that perfect. This is just a punch that I happen to have. Now, I use just a skewer. It's hard for me to say that word for some reason. Now, you can fold your petals backward or inward. I like my petals to be inward for some reason. I don't know why. I just think on this particular flower, it looks better. On the first one, you're going to roll them pretty tight. So see, I'm rolling them pretty tight. So I just lay that there and just kind of take my finger and roll around that. And this cardstock, this is cardstock. This is not the thinner paper. The cardstock just kind of holds its shape when you roll it like that. Okay, so you see how we did that one? It's kind of tight. That's going to be our center one. And then the next one, you're going to roll a little bit looser. Not quite so tight. Maybe 2 rounds on the little stick. I'm going to call this a stick since it's hard for me to say that other word. So a couple of rounds like that. And you can always manipulate these after the fact. So just get them started rolling and then you can change them up when you start putting everything together. So we're just going to roll this one a little bit. if my hubby doesn't quit coming in and out the door of the shop, I'm fixing to use the skewer on him. Skewer. I cannot say that word for some reason. He's driving me crazy this morning. Okay. All right. So see, this one we didn't roll at all, hardly. Just a tiny bit. Just rolled it up some. And now we're going to take our glue, and you can use hot glue on this if you want. We're going to start with this one. Put some glue in the center, and then just go to the next one that looks like it might be the next size up. Like I said, once you get this put together, you can manipulate them a little bit. And just alternate your petals. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of glue inside there. And then I'm going to roll these up just a tiny bit more. Just so it'll be a little bit tighter. And I'm going to sit it down in there. I'm going to alternate those petals again. And then we're going to take the last one. And it's that little bud looking thing there. And we're going to sit it down in there and alternate those petals. Let me flip that around a little bit. There we go. Now, once you get that in there, once you get it kind of put together like that, then just take your little stick and just roll your petals back up again like you want them. If you want that center real tight, then just roll it up. You can also just use your fingers and roll it. This is at the point where you can change it up like you want to. There we go. See, isn't that cute? And that's out of the same size punch. It just looks like that it's different sizes. I used to make these and people would say, oh my goodness, I can't believe you got all those different size punches. I didn't. I had one size and that's what I used. And then I just put a piece of bling in the center. And that is it. That's the first little rose. Now you can always ink the edges of these if you want to make them stand out a little bit more. Sometimes I do that. But there is that one. We're going to put that right there. And then we will go on to our next one. Let's see, what will we do next? I think next we'll do this one right here. Now, this one, I did it out of the thin paper. But I'm going to try doing it out of the thicker cardstock. This is not real thick cardstock, but it's a little bit thicker than that. Now I've got a 4-inch, I think it is here. Yeah, a 4-inch square, a 3.5-inch square, a 3-inch square, and a 2.5-inch square. And we're going to fold these. I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to fold them. And on these, I will use my bone folder. You don't have to use the bone folder when you use a thinner cardstock, but on the thicker cardstock, it's good to use the bone folder. And then we're going to fold it this way. And then you're going to fold it one more time this way. And then you're just going to fold that down. So it's like you made one of those little footballs that we used to make and sell across the classroom when we were being naughty. All right, then you're going to take, on this one, you're going to take and just do a little ice cream shape. So just kind of draw out. And you can just cut it freehand if you want to without drawing it. But see, we've just drawn out a little ice cream shape. And then you're going to cut that out. I'm hoping this cardstock works. It is very, very hard to cut. We may have some little jagged ends on our rose, but that would be all right too, or whatever the flower that is. All right, then you're going to do all of them the same way. You're going to fold every piece the same way. So fold it triangular like that. You're going to fold it again. putting those corners together, and then you're going to fold it one more time, just like that. Now with this folded end on the left hand side, you're just going to cut out a little ice cream shape. Now you can draw this out on all of them if you want. Usually I just start cutting. As long as it kind of looks like a little ice cream cone, you've got it. And you could use a little circle at the top if you wanted to. So a little ice cream shape there. Okay. Now we're going to do the other two the same way. Okay, now that you've got your petals all cut, you can open them up. And this is what you have. Like that. So you've got 4 different shapes here, or 4 different sizes. And then I just go through and make sure that all of my little lines here are folded the same way. So just, you're going to have a couple that you're going to need to fold backward. There we go. And one more. Okay, now you can do these flowers a couple of different ways. I'm going to show you the way that I do them, but if you want to have a little bit less of a dimension here, then you can cut a petal out. But I don't like mine to cup up quite so much because sometimes I'll use these on my projects, and when you're using them on the projects, you want them a little bit flatter. And I don't always do, a lot of times I just take my bone folder on these because you just need a little bit of a curve on that petal. All I'm doing is breaking down some of those fibers. And if you've got one, like I've got right there, that's not quite as dipped down as this, I just take my scissors and just kind of trim it out a little bit more to make it a little bit more of a dip. Let's see, I had another one somewhere. Oh, that looks about right. So that's going to be the top petal. And this was a little bit harder to cut, this being cardstock, but I think it's going to be fine as far as making the flower. And I really break down the fibers in this cardstock because it is not going to fold as easy as that. So I really just run my bone folder over the complete back over and over again. And just make sure that when you get to the end of those petals that you just kind of curve it. And don't pull too hard or you'll pull a hole in it, especially if you're using a thinner cardstock. Okay. And you can ink the petals on this if you want to. I'm not going to on this one, but you can. Okay, I think that's broken down enough. Okay, on this one I'm going to use my hot glue because I want it to go together real quick. And I've got some white glue in my hot glue, so don't let that confuse you. Now you're just going to do the same thing. You're going to alternate your petals, and you're going to try to center them up as much as you can. Like I said, don't worry and try to get it too perfect, because if you look at nature, the flowers are not perfect in nature. They're not meant to be. So just lay one on top of the other. And I like to press that center one down and hold it for a minute. Okay, now you have that. See, it's not real puffy, so you could use this on a lot of different things. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the centerpiece in here, but you could always You can always manipulate these a little bit too. I'll show you that in just a second. Let me get this center glued in there. Okay, now what you can do is take your skewer. Ooh, I said it. And put it under your petals and just give them another roll. Just to kind of lift those petals off of one another. And then you can just lift that up, lift your petals up as much as you want or as little as you want. So you can separate them out if you want to. It's a little bit harder with cardstock, I will tell you that, but it can still be done. I think each one of them is pretty. So that is basically this flower. This one's with cardstock and this one's with a thinner paper. And like I said, just keep manipulating it until you get it the shape that you want. If you want it really puffed up, then you can always lift your petals. So you got that. All right, so that is that one. I'm going to sit that up there. All right, let's do this little baby right here. This one, this is a cutie. Now I am going to take my marker and I'm going to go around the very edge of this with my marker. I may be able to do it better this way. We'll see. This is just a red Copic. And I'm not steady-handed, so I may get some marks off on the sides, but this just kind of helps the top stand out a little bit more. Just kind of go around it. You could also ink around it. That would be good too. It would make it stand out a little bit more. There we go. I would probably ink around mine, but I'm just kind of showing you how to make this. All right, then you're going to fold it in half. So all you're going to do is fold all three of them in half. Just like that. Like that. Then we're going to take a tiny bit of glue. You're going to, the reason you folded it in half so that you would know where to join these together. So you're going to take your glue and right where you made that score line right there, you're going to put a little bit of glue just up at the top, that. Then you're going to take this and fold it over and just join it with that one. And I just kind of fold them over like that and pinch them. That's what you have right there. You're going to do that to all three of them. So just take this, fold it the opposite way, put a little bit of glue down through there on that score line, and then just pinch it, and then I fold it kind of that way so that I can tell I'm getting it pretty even. I got that. I'll do that to all three. Okay, now once the glue has dried on these, what you're going to do is you're going to take one and you're going to fold it up and put it right against the other. You're going to put glue right here. So you're going to just, I like to fold them, and that way I know I'm getting all the edges even. That top edge is very important to get even. These two top little pieces up there, they're important to get even because that's going to be the top of your little petal. So squish it like that. Then you're going to take your other one, you're going to put glue right here, and I just squish it together, and then I'm going to put these together, making sure that that top is just as even as I can get it. Okay, so you have something that looks like this, but we still need to glue these other ones together. So again, put your glue there, pinch that one, Put your glue in here. Pinch that one. And then you're going to put glue right here. Pinch that one together. Then you're going to bring these two edges together. So you're going to bring this one around to that one. And pinch that together. And then while I do that, I just take my finger and I go in there and make sure that all of these are opened up. And that center is kind of glued together right at the top, and it looks pretty even. And there is that one. Cute, cute flower. And that's the easiest to make, I think. So we're going to put that one over there. Let's do the rolled flower next. You notice I'm saving that one for last. And the reason that I'm doing that is because that one takes just a little bit longer. It doesn't take a long time, but a little bit longer. Now, I just drew out a circle, and this is the thinner cardstock. You can do these rolled flowers with any cardstock, any pattern paper you want. I used my little scalloped scissors, but you can use regular scissors. This one was cut with just regular scissors. So either way you want to. You can make any size circle. Big ones, small ones. This one is this circle. This little bitty one here is a smaller circle. So it just depends on what you're looking for. Now let's see. I need to turn my scissors over. I think. Let's see. Nope. I had them the right way in the beginning. Always test your scissors out, because one way they cut the scallop and the other way they cut the little spikes. Now we're going to go around the circle where I drew that. You do not have to stay straight. And if you want to just do this, if you don't have any of these scissors and you want to just do this with some regular scissors, just kind of cut it wonky. Cut it back and forth. The better the wonky, the more the wonky, the better. That was hard to say too. All right, we're going to go around like this. All the way around. And cutting them with these type scissors does take a little bit longer, but it's not bad. Now you're going to go in, just in any place, it doesn't matter. And I'm leaving about 5/8 of an inch there that I'm cutting. Depending on how tall you want your flower is how much you go in when you start cutting around in that circle. The taller you want your flower, then the bigger band you leave here. Then when you get here, you're going to go in again. So you're just cutting just a spiral. That's all you're doing. And then you're going to go in again. Just keep going until you get to that center. And then when you get to the center, you need to leave about like that. Now I go back, and where this little point right here is, I kind of cut that off. Now I take my skewer. I'm getting better at saying that, have y'all noticed? And I start rolling, and I start rolling the center really tight, because that's going to be the center of your flower, of your rose. And then once I get maybe that much rolled, I take that off, and I put this between my thumb and my index finger, and then I just start rolling it around like that. Now don't press down real hard on these little scallops. If you do, it kind of flattens them out. I just hold it enough that I can roll it. I don't glue as I go. Some people glue as they go. I like for mine to be able to relax a little bit. And I know they have these on the Cricut, but a lot of people don't have the Cricut, so this is just showing you how you can do your own without having to use the Cricut. Now I'm rolling mine kind of fast. I would be slowed down a lot if I was doing this not on camera. But there we go. Once you get around to where you've got that bottom there, you can just stop. Now I squish mine one way and I squish them the other. To me, that helps the rows kind of stay together. A lot of people I know don't do that, but that's just me. Now I just kind of turn mine loose and I let it relax a little bit. And once it kind of relaxes to the point to where I want it, then I put my glue on the bottom. And since this is a handmade one, you may have to manipulate some things a little bit, but it'll still make a pretty little rose for your projects. You may have to glue in some different areas because, like I said, this is a handmade one. Like right now, I need to glue a little bit right here because that's trying to be a little bit more stubborn than the other parts. So there is a little scalloped rolled rose. I think they're super cute. Now any of those little petals that I press down, I can just pull them back up with my tweezers, but that's how easy those are. I like these. I like just the regular ones. I think they're pretty, but you can make them any way that you want. So there's 3 different examples right there. Okay, now we're going to make the big one here. This is the rose that everybody on YouTube has designed in one way or the other. So we're going to make this. You're going to need 4. This is a 5" by 5" square. Depending on how big or how small you want your rose, you just change your size. It just needs to be a square. You're going to fold it the same way that we folded that one. Fold it one way. We're going to make that little football again. I know some of you have got to remember doing that. I was not the only one that did that, was I? And got in trouble for it. And sometimes we'd put notes in them and send them sailing across the room, and the teacher would catch us. So fold all 4 of them up just like that, just like we did the other ones. I won't ever forget one time I sailed one across the room, and I was in math, and instead of it hitting where I meant for it to hit, it actually took a detour and it hit my teacher in the back of the head as he was writing on the board. And needless to say, I was in a lot of trouble. I sat out in the hall for a couple of days, I think. But I never did that again. He taught me a lesson. I think I also had extra homework too, which was not a problem with me because I loved math. So the more homework I had on math, the better. But he thought it was a punishment. Okay, we have all 4 of them folded up like that. Now, you're going to take it and with the folded side to the left, just like we did that one, just go ahead and draw your little ice cream shape on here. I just kind of sketch it out roughly. I don't try to make it too perfect. It doesn't need to be. And then you're just going to cut around. Let's see. Cut that a little bit more. Gonna cut around like that. Make that little ice cream. Now, the more you can change this shape up. Some people do a little heart shape, and it changes the petals on your flower. I do just a little ice cream. You know, you can do it any way that you want. Just practice on one and do. Some of them do a little scallop over here and then around. I mean, you can change it up any way that you want. That's strictly up to how you want it. Okay, I'm just gonna use that one for a pattern, lay it down, and cut my other ones because they all need to be the same size. You can even make a little ruffled rose by just cutting these at a ruffle instead of an ice cream shape. So there's lots of different ways to do this. And I also think that they probably have these in the Cricut design space, but there again, a lot of people don't have a Cricut, so let's show you how to make these without the Cricut. Okay, now you're going to take, and right at the tip, you're just going to cut a tiny bit off of that tip. You're going to make that little hole in the center. Just a tiny tip. Okay, then we're going to open these up, and that's what we have. I think that's a pretty flower shape right there without having to do anything else. So that's what you have. And now again, I like to make sure that all of my petals, all the folds are folded the same way. That helps your flower look better, helps everything go together better. So I just go in there and change those folds. If I have one that's folding in, I make it fold out just like that. And now on this first one, you're going to cut out one petal. So let's see, let's cut that one right there out. So you cut there and cut right down that score line, just like that. Now save this little petal, don't throw it away. All right, on your second one, you're going to cut out 2 petals. Again, save that, don't throw it away. Third one, 3 petals. Okay. And then your fourth one, you're going to cut it right in half because you're going to cut off 4 petals. So we're just going to cut it in half, just like that. Now you can start gluing these together, and I always start with my big one first. I don't know why, but you can start with any of them. And what you're going to do is you're going to fold one petal over the other, and that makes that shape, that cone shape right there. So I just folded this petal over that one and glued it together. Now you can do your folding now on your little petals. You can take your little bone folder or your skewer and just kind of fold these back a little bit to give them some shape. So that's what we have right there. Then we're going to take our next one. Again, I'm going to make sure that all of my folds are going the same way. Okay. There we go. You're going to put glue on this petal, and then you're just going to bring this petal over the top of it. And I just kind of try to match them up as best I can. And if one of them is a little bit taller than the other one, I cut it off. You don't have to do that. That's just my OCD. All right. And then I go ahead and I roll my petals back a little bit. Just like that. Take the next one. Make sure all my folds are the same way. Okay. And then we're going to put glue here. And we're going to fold that over. Now some people only use 3 of these petals or 3 of these pieces. I like to use 4. To me, it makes the flower a little fuller and it helps me out when I'm putting everything together, but you could use 3. Okay, on this one, again, you're going to take this petal and fold it over that one, gluing them together. Just like that. And then I think I forgot to roll that last one I was talking. Let's go ahead and roll it now before I forget. Because once you glue, it's kind of hard to roll them then. There we go. Now on this one, I'm going to go ahead and roll my petals first because this one's getting smaller, so it's a little bit harder to do. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'll just do this one a tiny bit because these are going to be the insides and they're really not going to need to be folded that much. Now, don't fold that one at all. Okay, on this one, we're going to put a little glue right here. Bring this around and bring it together. And of course, the smaller they get, the harder they are to put your finger in there and glue, especially if you have big hands like I do. There we go. So see, the folding on this one really doesn't work that much because it straightens back out once you make that little cone, and that's fine. Don't worry about that. The same thing on this one, but this one you're gonna kind of roll it. You're gonna fold that up a little bit. I don't put a crease in it, but I just kind of fold it. Kind of fold that one over like that, and you're just gonna do half. Let's see if I can show you. You're just gonna glue half of the petal, not the whole petal, just half of it. Let's see, there we go. So I'm just folding each one of these petals in half, and I'm just going to glue half of it, not the whole petal over. So we're just going to fold it over like this, and I always have to stick my finger in the glue. That's just a rule. There we go. Put a little bit more right here. And there's our little cone. And then on this one, you're going to kind of do the same thing, only since you only have one petal here, what I do is I take my stick and I roll it around my stick. And then that helps me when I start gluing that together. So I kind of roll it up like I want it, and then I put my glue under there. So there's our little cone there, and then I just stick my glue under when I press it down. Because that one you want pretty tight because it's going to be your center. There we go, like that. Now I know on this one we're going to have to cut some of this bottom off, so I'm just going to go ahead and clip it. I'm clipping a little bit off now. We may have to clip a little bit more later, but right now that's what we're going to leave. Now you're going to use your glue, and hot glue works quicker on this, but I just put my regular glue down in there, kind of like that. You're going to alternate your petals. And then when I'm using this type glue, you kind of have to hold it a minute. I just kind of hold it straight up. So then put your next one there and hold it down. Because you want them to stand up. You don't want them to be stuck together. You want them to kind of stand individually. That's why I like to use the regular glue, because I can kind of manipulate it a little bit as I'm going. So put your glue down in there. Then we're going to use our next one. Again, we're going to try to alternate those petals. And just stand it down in there. Okay. Then on this one, I'm going to dry fit it first and see if I need to trim it. And it looks like I do. See how it stands up really too high? So I'm going to trim the bottom off just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to put my glue around the bottom on this one. And then we'll stick it down in there, that center. Okay, and then on this one, I'm going to dry fit again, but I know I'm going to have to cut it off. So I'm just going to cut, looks like I'm cutting about a 1/2 inch. I'll dry fit it again, see if that looks about right. Yeah, that looks about right. So then we're just going to put our glue around through here. Set it down in there. And then when it gets to this point to where my finger is really too big to get down in there, I just use my stick. And at this point, I kind of look at it while my glue is still wet and see if I need to turn my petals any or if it's looking pretty good. And to me, that looks pretty good. Now, I'm seeing that I could actually use another petal to go on the inside of that. So what I'm going to do is take one of these, maybe 1 1/2. I'm just going to cut one 1 1/2. And I'm going to fold this one up and I'm going to put it in there as well. At this point is when you can kind of look at your flower and see if you need extra or if it looks like it's going to be full enough. I'm going to stick my pen down in there so I can glue it together. Okay, and we'll sit it down in there, and I know I'm going to have to cut it off at the bottom. So again, I'm cutting about a 1/2 inch or 5/8, something like that. You can always dry fit it again just to make sure. When you haven't made very many, that works to dry fit it. See, that makes that center a little bit fuller, so don't throw that piece away. You can always, you may need to use it. Depends on how tight you rolled your flower centers. So I'm going to hold that a second, let that dry like that. And then our little center. And we know, look, no, we're not going to have to cut that center off. That's amazing. Usually I have to cut the center a little bit more, but that first that we cut was enough. And you're going to stick that center down in there and just press it down and hold it. I like to use my little stick. And look at that beautiful rose. That is what you have. Is that not gorgeous? And see, this one even turned out a little different than this one. This one is from 4-inch squares. This one is 5-inch squares. But I think they're both absolutely beautiful. I love how the center looks darker, even though you're using the same color paper all the way through. I think they're gorgeous. And I am going to make some large ones to put on my wall out here. I think they're really pretty and they're not hard to make at all. Alright. So that is our rose. These are all the other ones that we have done. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I want to see some of these flowers made. I want you to go over to our Facebook page. That link is directly below. And when you make some of these flowers, I want you to share it over there with us. I have a challenge coming up for the month of May. Since May is usually craft month, and I know we're still going to be on quarantine for a little while, I think, from what I am hearing, for the first part of May anyway. But I want to start a challenge for the month of May. I think we're going to do a 31-day challenge, and it's going to involve you guys too. It's not just going to be me. I will give you more details about it probably at the end of the week, because I've got to get up all my details and all that kind of stuff. But we're also going to have winners, so people who participate, there's a chance that you're going to win something, so that's always a good thing when you get something for free. But just stay around and stay tuned for that. Now, the only thing, you do have to be a subscriber to my YouTube, because when you subscribe to my channel, that helps me out. It helps me out with YouTube, helps me out when I do these videos. the more views that I get, the longer you view the video. If you click on an ad, if you watch an ad, anything like that helps me out just a little bit to help me buy the materials to do these videos for you guys and to do the free PDFs that I do. It gives me just a few cents. It's not much. I don't make very much money off of YouTube, but it gives me just a little bit each month so that I can buy more product to do more videos the next month. So that is why I always ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I know a lot of people watch that are not subscribers. I don't really understand why. Every channel that I watch, if I like them, I go and subscribe to them right away. That's just my thing, because I know that helps them out. So if you're watching our videos, and if you have been watching our videos for quite some time, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button. You don't have to click that bell. A lot of people don't want to be notified by email, don't want to get emails saying that somebody has put up a video. You don't have to click that bell. Just subscribe, and then when you go in, you can view my video and watch them if you want to. But anyway, enough of that being said, but keep a watch out for that May challenge. We're going to be doing that starting the first day of May. And we will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.